Good afternoon. Miss Pat is here, and I'm glad you're here, Pat. You're the first one and the only one right now. I'm glad you're here. I hope you're feeling well, sweetheart. Give us a little update about your health condition. Hello, Dee Dee. Dee Dee's come in, second runner-up. And George, if he's watching, glad you guys are on with us. Linda Langdon. Hello, my darling. Glad you guys. Pat was the first one here. And so I want Pat to give us an update about her health. I hope she's doing well. Hello, Apostle Norman. Hello.
Good to see you guys
hello.
up there, Ray.
We got your call, forgot to return it, and but hope you're doing well. Hello, Miss Rondo, Miss Deb.
Good to see you, girl.
And there's Vincent Kelly from California, all the way from California. Hello, Miss Myrna. I'm glad you're here, sweetheart. Been thinking about you.
John.
And there's Diana. Hello, Diana. John Greason is in the house.
David Kelly.
And David Dovey.
Dovey? Oh, D-O-V. Okay,
Dovey Kelly, yes.
Dovey.
Dovey, where are you coming in from? Let us know where you're located, sweetheart. And there's Mr. Joe. Hey, Joe.
Joe Jr. Lori Ann.
Here comes my sweetie pie, Lori. It's good to have you all with us this afternoon.
It is the truth.
Mm-hmm. Well, I tell you, we've been in a whirlwind in our country. I tell you, if anybody saw the Oscars, you know what I'm talking about. It was something else to look at. Anyway,
I can understand them. I can understand because I had something like that to happen to me in high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was in my riot days. I shot a gun in the house at a person because I overreacted to something.
Oh, okay.
And all I had to do was just sit still and not say anything. But they come after me and
after the fact.
Yeah, the incident they came after me unexpectedly, and before I know it, I had pulled a gun and shot, but I didn't really mean to do that.
But the reaction just
clicked.
It just happened.
That's why I know that.
You were probably already under pressure.
Oh yeah, at the time, there was a person in my family that was close to me was crossing over, and pressure was there, and a whole lot of things was going on in my life. I don't think you didn't know me during that time.
Oh, no. That's on your high school days, right?
Yeah, I was in my last year of high school in a house, and somebody approached me the wrong way and said things that I didn't like. In those days, it's not just about gun rights. If you carry a gun, let me tell you guys something. You must be, they called it in the old days, level-headed. If you carry a gun or a knife, you must be willing to be cool with it because it will cause you to do things that are foolish if you're not in the right mind.
But for those of you who just came in, of course, we were talking about the latest news, which there's a whole lot other news we could talk about, but we're just talking about what happened at the Oscars. And but I wanted to mention what Linda said. On a side note, without us talking about that, she says this show starring Toni and Clifton Sawyer, co-starring Baby Girl,
is
brought to you by Infinite Consciousness.
Oh, I like that. Look at that. I want to tell the boss man to give you a raise, girl. I like that.
Oh, that's cool.
That is good. Thank you. Thank you.
And Miss Pat is saying she's feeling better. Still got a way to go. We're still praying and believing God with you, Miss Pat. And there is Ollie. I'm glad you're in here tonight, Mr. Oliver. And Dovey is coming out of Rayford, North Carolina. Dovey, you may have told us this before, but how do you know about us, sweetheart? Can you give us just a little hint about that?
Yeah, please do.
Good afternoon, Jill. Hello, Marie.
Or maybe someone you contact and we can talk about that, how you found out about us personally.
Well, yeah.
I like to know. That sounds your name and.
I think she's been with us before.
But it just that it's something that rings a bell inside of me of what happened to you, what was done for you to contact us, and I'm interested in all of you to find out how you made contact with us because to me that tell me how God speaks to you.
Right. And Oliver, I'm glad you said that. We were discussing just briefly, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, about what happened at the Oscars. But I do realize this, that if I had put myself in either of the three, if I put myself in either place, if I were Chris Rock and I had the responsibility of making the show run smoothly and providing some humor and all of that, I would find myself pretty devastated when somebody smacked me, and not really intending to hurt anyone, but at the same time realizing that I probably went a little too far. And then if I was Jada, of course, I would probably feel bad. Having an autoimmune condition myself, I know I probably would have felt the same way, hurt, because I was made a spectacle of, even though she looked beautiful. She didn't feel beautiful. That's the point. And Will, of course, because he's already ramped up because of this wonderful thing he's about to go through, and his emotions are riding high. And then when he feels that his wife is being disrespected, of course, I feel like I probably would feel pretty much the same way. I don't know if I would have done quite as much as Will did. I think he hurt himself doing that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of incidents like that happen in the way I was raised in moonshine shotgun houses.
Yeah.
People went off at each other.
Yeah, but I said this before we went on live, that what's happening is the shadow of our country and our culture is showing its head, and it's been showing its head for quite a while now. And since before with our former president, it started way back at that point, and it's been there underlying and an undercurrent, but now it's reared its head, and there's nothing that can stop the showing up of it. But I do know this, when you look at the Oscars, and we're going to go get off of this in a second, but when you look at the Oscars and you see how glamorous it is, it's like a fantasy, and it's a celebration of everybody's accomplishments, and it's really a fantasy, and a glorious fantasy at that. So I feel like what's happening is the real world is creeping into our glamorous fantasy, and that our culture and our fantasies, really, the illusion is falling apart. It's falling apart.
Yeah.
And so it's I don't know. I think it's going to be good, because it's going to make everybody reflect. And I don't know what's going to happen to Will, but whatever happens is supposed to happen for his evolution, because he started on the path. He started on this journey, the spiritual journey, and he's got to finish it. And I think that he already knows that he overreacted and that he could have handled it differently. And I'm not going to take a side. You can't take a side with anybody, because if you do and you're in that same position, you probably may have done that and more. So anyway, let's move forward from that. I thought I'd just address it a little bit.
I did something I wanted to, while it's on the right fresh in me.
Is it fresh?
Yeah, it is. It's I was watching back years ago. I was watching a video online of a preacher that was on platform, and he started out by acting like he could hear God.
Acting out?
Yeah, he started acting out. Hold still.
Okay.
And I noticed that he was. It's like I'm standing somewhere, and I think I hear somebody talking, but I don't really hear them clear enough. And so, anyway, this preacher started saying in a conversation, "Yes, in a dialogue, he said, "Oh yeah, really," and it wasn't nothing said on the physical level the vibration, the frequency of his ears. That was not anything physically heard.
No one really talking to
No
him.
one, it appeared that no one was talking to him, but he was standing in front of a person and they wasn't saying anything, but he said, yes, oh yeah, uh-huh, really? Oh, you don't mean that. Yeah, uh-huh. So here's what happened to me. I had a lady to come up when we was in the brick and mortar in buildings, church, and I was standing there with her, and all of a sudden I had this desire to want to speak to the person she was carrying in her stomach.
She was pregnant.
She was pregnant. Yeah,
okay.
I'm going ABC with it.
Okay.
And it overwhelmed me, and the sense of knowing I never thought like this before, but all of a sudden I said to the lady, I said, now he's going to get you now. I said, can I talk to your baby in your stomach? And it was strange, but when I asked the question, there was no disagreement. All I had to do was, and I leaned over, and her husband was standing there with her, and I put my ear up to her stomach. Empathicness and oneness. All of a sudden, I kept hearing myself say, yes, mm-hmm, okay. And I backed up, and all of a sudden, I felt the baby in her stomach move. And I said, well, by that time, I said, I think I'll just go ahead on deeper with it. And the way I went deeper with it, I started acting like I could hear. Now, you know, the book says, faith comes by hearing, hearing by the word. Without faith, it's impossible to prove. That's bookish, biblical.
Bible.
Mm-hmm. And I put all of a sudden, I'm in this intuitive area, and I said, I think I just take this a little bit further. And I said, yes, mm-hmm, uh-huh. And it reminded me of in some classes, they teach you how to take a glass and put it up against a wall, and you could hear what's going on in the other side of the room. Mm-hmm. All these pictures come up. Mm-hmm. And I put my ear in, and I moved my head around, down a little further, around, and I started acting like I could hear her baby. Mm-hmm. And as that Pastor Norman say, lo and behold, I actually acted like I could hear. And when I started acting like I could hear, I did. Okay. And I backed up, and it's like me taking this cup. It's like you take this cup, and I said, I wonder what the water inside said. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just got into the Disneyland fantasy of having an ear.
You're so childlike sometimes.
That's right. Yeah. Having an ear to hear what the baby was telling me. And I didn't expect to hear it so clear. And I said, yeah. And the baby said, tell my mama to stop dumping Coca-Cola.
No.
It was one like that. It was. It was one like that.
We've had so many. Yeah. But which one are you talking about?
I'm talking about the one we had.
This one in Zion, Illinois.
No, it wasn't that. It was
this one was just dumping chicken and dumplings.
Yeah, but this was this different one.
This is a different one.
And,
okay.
So anyway, I tried it, and one of them told me that the mother, he said, tell my mama stop dumping chicken and dumplings down on my head at 12, 1 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And the other one was about the Coke was up in Reedville. Okay. And I was ministering in a school auditorium. And the baby said, I wish she would stop dumping them chicken and dumplings down on my head every night between 12 and 1 o'clock. And I Drew looked back, and I looked at her husband. I said, I'm going to tell you what I just heard. I said, do I have permission to talk? Yeah. So I said,
and Dovey said she evidently she remembers that. She said she remembers that.
Who does?
Dovey remembers that.
Oh yeah.
Dovey remembers
Oh,
that.
she does. Okay.
Yeah.
And I said, your baby's telling me. Now, one time I did that, and the baby told me what the mom
more than your mom wanted you to know.
Want me to know.
Yes.
And
yes, Clay, you're right. He said that's called having a sanctified imagination, and it was conditioned, or I should say cultivated, in his early childhood life. And it is pretty much the key to being prophetic. But at the same time, it's beyond imagination, because it was not his imagination that heard what the child was saying. So it is beyond the imagination.
Now, I have walked in a room when we had to do some speaking in Durham, down at the near death forum down there. Yeah. And when I walked in the room, everybody was there, but I wasn't expecting to hear it. And the reason why I'm saying this is because once you start practicing this, that I'm showing you, it'll almost become just a normal trend for you to understand the intuitiveness. Like the other day, I told her, I said, had you ever thought that we could actually, when the telephone rings, we could actually hear the person talking on the telephone before you ever pick up the receiver? Or you could be in a room and somebody picked up the receiver and had something to say, but the number didn't go all the way through, but you picked up on why they called you. Now, I'm telling you this as, I'm going to stop and let her go on, but it's really, I wanted to share that with you because I'm into right now, today has been a time where I wanted to discuss about hearing truth.
And you've been spending more time in the closet.
Yeah, well,
I whenever he does that, he's a lot more mystical and in that mode. So it's okay. I mean, that's what you wanted to talk about.
The fullness, I see a scripture for him, in him dwelleth all the fullness of the Godhead bodily, and ye are complete in him.
Exactly.
So what I did, I entered into what is called the no mind minding itself communication on a level that is so simple that you can hit the little buzzer and say, that's easy. And I realized, and I'm saying to you now, how easy it was to hear and feel and sense the vibrational frequencies. And I do it all the time with my dog. I'll look at her and I'll say, I see you. I hear you.
Oh, speaking of dog,
go ahead.
Speaking of baby girl, who's right here on the side, for those of you who can see me moving my arm back and forth, I'm giving her treats to keep her still while we talk. But speaking of dogs, you guys know I've been dealing with baby girl and her condition, her diarrhea, her stomach condition, and it's cleared up, thank goodness. But I had asked God to show me or help me to understand what to do for her. And so I've been on this decluttering journey, and decluttering different things in the house, taking away from getting rid of a lot of things. And as I was doing that the other day here in the office, I ran across her original papers from a puppy, from when we bought her from the breeder. I have been saying that baby girl was 7 years of age, which would make her an older dog, but not really, not a senior dog. But in looking at her paperwork, I discovered that I had lost awareness of 3 years, and she actually is 10, which in dog years makes her 70. So that's why she's having these issues. It's time for a change in her diet, change in now. And I was wondering, because she's always energetic, but lately she would pull muscles and she would have different things that happen to her so often. I said, why is this happening to her? But now I know she's a senior dog, still acting like a puppy. So it gave me clarity, and in the decluttering process, the answer came. The answer to how to deal with her has come. And so now we pretty much got her on an even keel.
She's doing good.
And she's doing fine. Yeah.
She's doing great. Yeah. But these are some of the things of the mysteries.
Yes. And then again, what you're talking about, the going into the secret place, I'll call it the secret place, and spending that time and being able to intuitively hear gives you a lot of the answers that you need in order to navigate through life. And that's what happened to us about Baby Girl. We consult our intuition, our higher self, our God self, our Holy Spirit self about everything. When we run up against the obstacle, that's the first thing we do. Show us what we need to know.
I was in the garage working, and y'all probably will remember when I say this. I was gluing a piece of wood together and making the toys that I do. And every time I would put the glue, it's a glue called Instabond. I think they use it for
I call him the glue king because he'll glue you to the wall if you stand still long enough.
And I just said, I put the glue on there, and it don't take but a second. You stick your finger in it, it's stuck. And in order to get that off your hand, you have to take a piece of sandpaper to get it off. Well, anyway, I tried all kinds of things to get it off my hand, but it didn't work. So I just seen my skin and stuff got tough to it. But
I gotta read you what Linda said when you finish. Go ahead.
Well, go ahead.
Linda said once her cat came upstairs and told her that her other cat had gotten locked in the car. Sure enough, she went and looked in the car, and there was a cat.
Now I'm telling you, girl,
we've had that happen too, Linda. Yeah, we this is years ago. Some of you guys have heard us say it before. But we were newly married, living in a trailer. That was our first house, and we had my mom and dad had a dog. His name was Dooley. He was a bird dog.
Now I forgot about that.
Large bird dog, and he was stationed right behind our bedroom. That's where they had him tied up. And
they were real mean to him.
Yeah, we would feed Dooley and everything, but I mean, Mom and Dad didn't really pay Dooley any attention. He just lived on that chain all of his life. And so one night we were sleeping. I mean, in a deep sleep, neither one of us was stirring, and all of a sudden we heard this one bark. Woof!
Just one bark, and the moon shined through the window.
And the moon was shining really bright.
And we was in a deep sleep, wasn't we?
Yeah, we both woke up and
sat up in the bed
and looked at each other and said, "Did you hear that?"
I said, "Did you hear what the dog said?"
And we both knew what the dog said. He was old, and he had been on that chain. Yeah. He said, "I'm tired of being on this chain. I'm ready to go call the dog catcher." That's what he said.
That's right.
And we did what he said the next day.
And then usually, it'd be some procrastination to take time to get the truck. Before I looked around, the truck was sitting right there in the driveway.
And he didn't fight. He went just as sweet and nice. So I know what Linda's talking about.
Yeah,
it's true. It's true.
Yeah, these are moments of, I call the days of Noah communication, with the two of every kind of animal going into the ark. And I'm convinced that these animals that he put in there, that was going in there,
if the story is true.
Yeah, if the story is what it is, telepathic communication. Is it possible that the mind of Christ, the eternal brain of our true self, in our bodies? Now, I remember this when I was on the other side. I was on this incident where I took a step, but I never took a step to measure the distance from where I was standing to the end of a highway in the sky. You're crazy thinking now. This is not just everyday thinking. So,
and this isn't non-dual teaching.
No,
I have to admit, this isn't non-dual teaching. It isn't really about that at this point, what you're talking about.
I want to talk to you about this because in my insight today, I was looking up what it means to tell the truth. How do you tell the truth? And when you find out who you really are versus who you're not, there's some things that you're going to experience that may not be may not be able to explain except in these short metaphors that I'm giving you. And these areas that I'm telling you, they will occur to you more frequently as you move into a more sensitive awareness of your true identity. And
But
you,
now,
you don't have to work at it.
Right. And I'm hoping that saying these things, I know some people are more prone to go after the phenomenon and never find out who they are.
Well, and I found out over years what caused us to go into looking for the phenomenon of things like this is because we're not settled in the fact that this is normal. This is going to happen, and you don't put yourself out on a limb trying to make these things happen. You're spontaneous. You're spontaneous. Right. And so I don't.
Some people are really drawn to that. Yes.
I don't go around listening to every pregnant woman's stomach to hear their baby talk.
No, I
hope
not.
I don't do that. But it's just that I want to point this out to you because in an emergency or in certain cases, you may slip over into this and may have to use it. You never know. And like, for instance, when I look at baby girl, and if I want to talk to her or hear her, I know she communicates on a frequency level of a dog. So I taught her, two dogs that I've had, I taught them how to wink their eye.
Yeah.
And so when I started talking to baby girl, see, her eyes are close together anyway, so I kind of have to look cross-eyed to look at her. Yeah. But anyway, But when I'm talking to her, I look her in the eye. She's the first dog that we had that would actually talk to you by looking straight in your eye without batting. But I told her how to bat. Now, I hadn't got around to teaching her how to do one eye.
Wink, you mean?
Yeah, wink. And so I said, "Are you okay?" She'll wink her eyes a little bit like that. And I said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Do it with one eye." She is her inside said, "Look, you done this enough. Why you keep bothering me?" She'll say, "I wink this time, but let's forget this." So I leave her alone. I can tell when she get ready to put something down in front of thee, she'll look at it and turn her head. I said, "Oh, so you don't like that, do you?"
So the phenomena, the giftings that you're speaking about that happen because of our awareness, or sometimes people are not, they're not, well, I don't know how I want to say this. Not all people who have spiritual giftings are spiritually advanced.
But this is basically something that I'm telling you that everybody can do if as the occasion arises.
Right.
And you begin, and pretty soon it become normal. It'll be normal to you.
Yeah. And
it's like I hear the good one for you. It's like you in a store somewhere and you're only looking on the counter or something, and all of a sudden you send somebody looking at you. That's kind of an example it is. And you turn, and sometimes you turn it out there, but sometimes you turn and it's like, I also use this. I'm excited about it, but I also use this when I'm walking. I sense the awareness that somebody is walking beside me, and I just turn my attention, and all of a sudden I can see my angel walking beside me. And I just sometimes I carry on a conversation with my angel, and I'll say, "Well, it's good to have you with me this morning. Yeah, well, come on, let's walk." I don't go the whole distance like that, but once I'm aware of it, I just walk, and it's good to have you with me. Anything particular you want to talk about?
And all you're saying, I mean, I don't want to get the impression that everybody has to have a lifestyle like ours.
No, you don't.
But all you're saying is you live a life being consistently aware of that other world, or the two worlds you live in. You live in two worlds. So the only problem I have with telling people about these things, and I'm not saying any of you guys will have a problem with it, nor you, but I'm saying there are some who are still so locked into their egos, and those things make them feel very special because the ego wants to be heard, and it wants to be seen, and it wants to be noted. And so a lot of people get caught up in those things, and then they miss what they really need to know.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought I'd share it with you, but I heard what the child was saying in the stomach. and I could actually tell when it moved. Now I'm sitting in a restaurant.
So there's a sensitivity.
Yeah, it's a
that
bit,
you
yeah.
say
But you practice. You can practice
should come
this.
up in, yes.
So I'm sitting across like a Red Lobster, and when I'm sitting there, as this was years ago, I was sitting there, and I heard Spirit say, "Tell this waitress that her daughter has been having a drug problem." Now, when you get to these sensitive areas, you got to know how to approach people with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said,
Mm-hmm.
"Sweetheart," I said, "You have children, yeah? You have a daughter, yeah? Has she been having some problems here lately?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Let me tell you, if I may, I get permission."
And I have to say this, that one of the reasons you are comfortable doing those things is because you're the kind of person who never meets a stranger. That type of interaction is not something everybody's comfortable with.
No. Everybody don't do that.
Right.
Especially women anyway wouldn't do something like that.
I mean, there are some women who would be, but I'm saying, like myself and some others, they wouldn't, because they don't. I tend not to get in people's space, and so it takes me a while to find out if they're comfortable with me getting in their space before I even try to do that. But at the same time, you're the kind of person, you don't meet a stranger, and everybody's somebody you've known for years.
Right now, we hear baby girl's tail hitting the table. You're going boom, boom, boom.
Her tail's wagging,
and she's talking for more treat that my wife got here on the table, and that keeps her cool down. But I think it's the most amazing thing to be able to communicate.
Talk back at us about what Pastor's sharing and what we're sharing so far.
Yeah, please do.
Let us know. I don't know if it resonates with you, but just let us know if you're listening and what you think about it, if you would.
But anyway, when I was in the garage about the glue, I heard the intuitiveness say, and sometimes this will happen with a vision or a picture. If I was to say to you, "You're now holding an apple in your hand," and I say, "Imagine yourself holding an apple. It's real bright, red, delicious apple." And I said, "Here it is. Cut the apple in half. You see it in your hand. You're holding it. Then cut it across for 4 pieces." I said, "Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to put the apple down, let it lay there. Now, pick it back up with your imagination. And now let's cut it into 4 sections and taste it without putting it in your mouth." Okay? I said, "Now you sense is it sweet or bitter?" And one really important thing is take a lemon and put it in your hand and cut it in half. And I asked them, I said, "With your eyes closed, can you taste the lemon?"
And all you're doing there is
activating.
Is activating. Well, and also encouraging them to live beyond their senses.
Right.
And to dive or delve into that greater knowing part of you.
This is exactly what happened on the Emmaus Road after Christ was raised from the dead. They were walking on the road, and a stranger appeared unto them and was communicating with them, which was Jesus. And I'm going to tell you, everybody in the universe is made out of this potential.
Linda says she never meets a stranger either.
No.
And Linda, he has helped me to be more comfortable with that. I'm more of a private person, and so he's helped me to be more outgoing in that sense. Because he's so outgoing, it's made me to be. I've had to be outgoing. So
and sometimes it can get you in trouble too.
Oh, it can. But at the same time, I want to say this, that a lot of times what causes one getting into trouble, what causes him to get in trouble is his heart is so open.
Yeah, you can either get
I often tell him, your heart is so open, it scares me. Because when you're that open, you let people in, and a lot of times people
you have to be open,
and people don't always have your best interest at heart, and they're not always.
But here's the sacrifice. If you're going to practice this, you must be willing to make some mistakes to learn. I walk in the bank sometime and I see a teller there, and I say to her, "You you own a BMW, is that right? Yeah. I said, and I say something about the color of it. And I may say to her, did you just have the brakes put on
now,
there?
let me say this, because you're talking about the realm of, in the church we call the prophetic, the prophetic word or a realm. I've heard so many prophets that only deal with the judgment of God or God is going to bless you. And so it's always about how God's going to bless you or how God is against you and you need to get straightened out. So I think the prophetic has been abused in a way. And a lot of egotistical people who have had those giftings have really misused that gift.
Okay. Did you have something particular you want to start on?
I do, but I'm going to flow with you.
Okay. All right. One of the main things that I had to accept in this function, now hear this. This is not something I read and have to quote to you, because there is a truth that comes by an experience, trial and error, but you also have to be conditioned in the sense that you really are involved with an event that took place, such as you woke up to your true identity. And I've done a whole lot of research and studying into who we are genuinely as one with each other. And my wife told me that when I was in the factory working with Roger, that she had a chance to communicate with her true self through looking in the mirror.
Yeah, I've shared that before. That was my
here's
initial.
And she could see and understand communication with her inner self, true self. Now, here's something I wrote today. Looking for God in us is when you really are convinced, you must be completely convinced that you and spirit are one and the same.
Yes, you do.
The truth of you is not you reading it and accepting it. The truth of this is you found out that it is facts. It is a fact before you read anything about it.
There is I wrote, let me see what I found in my note. Until you enter into knowing, you will hold the truth about yourself and the lie.
Oh, yeah, open.
You'll hold the truth about yourself and the lie that you believed about yourself. You'll hold both at the same time until you enter into that absolute knowing.
Mr. Kessler, one of our members of the church, and during the daytime we had office hours, and his wife was, I think she was helping us during that time. I'm not sure.
She was.
And she was complaining about her heart or something like that.
Of having chest pains.
Chest pains, that's what it was.
And we were having office hours.
Yeah, and I had no idea that I was going to say this. And she said something about her chest hurting and all that.
You walked in and heard her saying it.
And she asked the question, should I go to the hospital? I said, go immediately. I said, do not hesitate. Go now.
Yes.
And it saved her life.
Yeah, it did save her life. Yes.
I had a case where now I used to have classes
got
about
so
this.
Many things, so many incidents.
And I tell you something else. When you start talking about this stuff like we're doing now, it rises up. It's just like, it's like it's something that happens when you talk about it. And I think
too that one of the reasons you're talking about it. I mean, I have to put myself in your place because you've had those giftings all your life. Pretty much the majority of your life, and you miss that interaction.
Oh, I do. I really do.
And so you talk about it now because you really, really miss that interaction. So that's why you want to be able to have a face-to-face encounter with people.
Okay, I'm glad you said face-to-face. Okay.
And I wanted to say what some of the comments.
Yeah, go ahead.
Clay says prophecy points the way in this life, in his direction.
Well, at the time, I never called it that, but that's what that's one of the words you could use to define it.
Sadie says she's intrigued by all of this, and it's good for her. It's powerful. Oliver says it's a matter of fact, and I think he's commenting about when I said you're going to hold both the truth about yourself and the lie of who you believe yourself to be until you come into the absolute knowing, and it's a realization.
The lie is you and God are not one. The lie is that you're not one with everybody else, but the truth is. But you have to have both sides to be able to stand in the middle of it and see both angles and from all views.
And for a while, you simply hear it and embrace it. And then, but after a while, you don't even have to hear it anymore because you know that it is true. Jill says, yes, talking about it, talking about these giftings, I'll call them. I mean, they're more than giftings because they're our inherent abilities, and they're different in each one of us. Now, we live together, and I've seen how he does this all his life, in my life too, but that I don't always do what he does, and he doesn't do what I do. But there are times when I've had that same intuitive knowing, but it's not as frequent as his, and it's different in most cases.
Something. I just point my finger here, something like this. Said that ye might walk worthy of the Lord unto all pleasing, being fruitful in every good work, and increasing in the knowledge of your true identity.
Yes. Marie says she misses it as well.
Yeah. But anyway,
we've seen some miraculous things.
Some of the most amazing, things. Very simple.
And it's been difficult to not get a big inflated ego behind it.
Some people want to make this a business of traveling around the country, which I did for a while, just meeting people and sharing with them what nobody else know behind closed doors but you and God. But then it took me a while to settle the dust and to learn this, but learning this came with much pain. But at the same time, here's another one for you. I just had to say it. It's not. I see somebody out there getting some work done on your car, and you didn't have the money to take care of it. And I sense you getting something of a deal, something what you thought it was not what really was going on with your car, and it's not going to cost you as much to get it fixed. Okay.
And you just
picked that up right there. Okay.
And Clay is asking the question: do you feel that speaking in tongues opens the door to all gifts and the prophetic also? And for those of you who are not in the circle of church where you even heard about speaking in tongues, or if you don't do that, if you don't know about that, I don't want you to be offended by somebody else talking about it. That's his circle, that's his experience. So I want you to just hang in there while we answer his question, because we as pastors and Christian mystics, we've had to deal with all of those areas. So not only are we talking about non-duality and being one, we're also talking about all of those giftings, and we're also talking about the things that relate to those church workings as well, those Christian workings as well. So what Clay is asking about speaking in tongues, does it open the door to all gifts and the prophetic also? You want to answer that?
I want to tell you this. I'm going to bless all of you just deliberately. What got me really into this is, Clay, this is going to answer some of what you're making a statement over. When I was a little boy, I loved watching big earth moving tractor trailers and heavy equipment. And growing up in a wood yard and things like that, I want to bless you real good with this. This is really, really, really good.
Okay.
As a little boy, they were building an expressway, and when they got through moving dirt around with the big earth movers, when they would stop work in the evening, I would go over to where they were, and I would look at them, feel them, look under, see how certain things worked. And pretty soon, I would have a picture of them. Now, when I spent one time $60,000 one time in electric train layout in a house, a full basement house. And what I was doing was imagining,
against my better judgment.
Yeah, I was imagining what it would be like for these trains to run and operate like the real ones, and then the toys and the wood. So I started imagining, and when I went home, went back to my backyard where I was, I would find a piece of wood, and I didn't have anything but a handsaw, a hammer, and old rusty nails. And I went and I took and what most people use sandpaper to sand wood. The idea came to me to take a rock or a cement block, bust it, and use the sand or the solidness of the rock
to rub. The rough
part to rub over the wood, and I end up making my own sander. But I began to allow this childhood imagination to express itself in the wood yard, and that is what taught me how to recognize different kinds of wood and different things like that.
Yeah, but Clay, he also, during that time, what was being developed, you mentioned it a minute ago about the imagination, it was what I call the incubation period. And so and during the time that he's always built things like these, he's talked about the trains, he's talked about the earth movers and all of this, whatever he has dived into to create, he always spends weeks and months just looking at it,
feeling it,
looking at pictures of it, looking at
feeling
the real thing, going to where they are, looking at them, and really just becoming so intensely involved with it that when he gets ready to make it, it just comes like this.
Yeah.
Intuitively.
No measurements.
Intuitively.
Just
so there's a period of time, and
incubation.
This can be this relates to what you're asking. There is a period of time of incubation in his prayer closet, in the prayer closet. When I sit in my chair for contemplation, that's an incubation period where you are beholding something. You may not be beholding a vision of anything, but you're holding the potential of that thing.
Okay, here's a secret, Brother Clay.
And all the little clays.
And all the little clays and the little tablet. Is that right? Okay, listen to this.
This is creative mode now. This is creative mode.
Watch this. I decided to make these imaginations on a low, small grade real by actually seeing them operate so real that I would actually be inside of them.
And to the point, I'll give you a clue, and this may be funny, but to the point that in his sleep, he would sometimes dream about it and act out, actually.
And wake up and see him.
Yeah, be acting out those, playing with the trains, playing with whatever. So it became such a deep, I don't know if you want to call it what it was. It was
all right, here's another
almost
one.
an obsession.
It is.
Almost
here's
an
another
obsession. And I've done the same thing with doing things in the house. And with I enjoy interior decorating, so I do the same thing. That incubation period is when you're mulling it over and over and over. Now, mind you, that mulling over and over is the same thing we do when we worry.
That was
hold up.
Okay, go ahead.
That's the same thing we do when we worry about something happening or not happening. And what we do when we mull it over like that is we actually make it happen.
Okay, here we go. I'll come home. I'll be somewhere. Now, as I've gotten older, sometimes it gets a little annoying. But when you talk about the prophetic, this is what you call, let's see. It's a word I used to teach in my classes that I used to use, motivational. You're motivated. You find out there are natural, like for instance, our physical body has ears to hear, eyes to see. And so what I found out that each one of these positions on the physical body are gates.
Mm-hmm. And they're interfaced
with
spiritual
with
senses
invisible
as well.
world.
Mm-hmm.
So I just with practice began to pay attention to it.
But I want to say this too, because I don't want everyone to think that we're not specifically talking about the prophetic.
No, we're not.
Because I've often said to him, he does play the role of the prophetic in many cases, but his overall demeanor doesn't come from that realm of I'm receiving a word from God and I'm going to, or I'm receiving something from God and I'm going to get. No, it's not. That's not his mode. His mode is from the mystical realm. So a lot of it's born from his living in the two worlds. And that's the best I can say it. It's the living in the two worlds. And I want to mention something that Linda put up. I don't know if we answered Clay's question or not, but Linda said this. Bernardo Castro, I'm not familiar with him, said, I'm paraphrasing. She said, I'm paraphrasing.
Okay.
God is a river and you are a whirlpool in the river. You cannot lift a whirlpool out of the river.
Ooh,
thank you, Linda.
Like that.
Bring us back around, sweetheart. Bring us back around.
I like that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So anyway, my point in talking about the toys when I was little is that here's a blessing. Your infinite, eternal essence has always been the essence of God. And this essence is who we are really connected to each other.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because I want to make sure that everyone realizes that what led you into all of this was not seeking gifts.
That's right.
But it was the union, wanting to be so connected to God, that led you into it. You would go spend time, hours in the closet, just wanting to have an encounter. Just wanting an encounter.
Well, what really, if I go back in my childhood again, I heard, there's so much coming to me. Being raised up in abusive moonshine bootlegging, I got to the point as a little boy, I didn't like so many people coming through my house and the shotgunning and fighting and shooting. And so I heard somebody say,
you were suffering.
Yeah, it was emotional suffering. Yes. And I heard somebody say, enter into your closet and your Father
who sees you in secret.
That seemed to be in secret.
Sees you in secret.
Sees you and
will reward you openly.
So I went in there and the shotgun was right there beside the door. I closed the door. And I heard my aunt say,
that's really been our philosophy.
Yeah, it is.
To stay before the face of God. And we realize that's not going to God separate and apart from ourselves, but staying before the face of God and realizing the union that we've had, transformational union, not just union because I exist in God. I know God is in everybody. It's not that, but the union that really causes a change in how you see and feel about yourself.
As a little boy, I carried a Bible around, a pocket-sized Bible in my back pocket, and I couldn't read it. But when I be around some of the kids, they would notice I got the Bible in my pocket, and I pull it out, and they make fun of me. And when they make fun of me, I'd go home and put it down and put it up. When I was in high school, I used to take the Bible with me in my back pocket to school. And I thought maybe that God would help me get past this suffering of not being able to learn like the other kids.
Not only that, in your home life.
Yeah.
So the closet became a part of your life. And
the teachers would actually call me to stand and ask a question and ridicule me for having the Bible in my pocket in the 6th, 7th, 8th grade. And I decided to put it down. But here's the thing. I always wanted to see and to know Jesus Christ in person. I didn't know this, what I know now. I'm telling you this because I want you guys to graciously receive, deliberately receive everything, light and dark, good or bad. Receive everything that ever happened to you in your childhood from the moment of birth, whether you were abused, whether you were uh, acceptable, whether you were smart or not. I want you to accept, and your essence has already done this, but your God essence, the same essence that is in us right here talking to you, has always been the real you. And I want you guys to understand that everything that I ever had to happen to me in the apartment I live in, upstairs, downstairs, God was using everything and is using everything in your life right now as a reference to show you that it's not by might nor by power, but it's by his spirit. It is by your true self that God is now speaking to you these inner nudges and these mystical. Your way could not have been any better than what it was meant to be. I'm telling you something. I'm deliberately trying to find words from that intuitive essence to speak to you. Do not disregard or resent. That's good. I'm saying, do not resent the things that happened to you. I heard of people who were babies that were left and put in trash cans, and somebody came by and picked the child out and raised it.
And so
it's just so important that you understand that your life was under full sway of spirit.
I have to say this, that a lot of people, and when we say the word God, I don't want anybody that isn't necessarily churched. I don't want you to think that we're trying to proselytize, because we're not.
No.
We're not trying to change anybody's beliefs. But what really led you into all of these, I'll call them exploits, that you have been familiar in experiencing, has been your lust for an encounter with God. And it wasn't the gifts that you were seeking. No. And so going back to what Clay asked about the speaking in tongues, the speaking in tongues was a tool, but way before he even knew anything about that, Clay, he would go in the closet and simply sit. And this closet that he sat in at this time was in my mom and dad's 2-story house, where the attic was not insulated, and he would sit in there in the cold, in the hot, doing absolutely nothing. And so that scripture, be still and know that I am God, was practiced. That was the beginning. Tongues came, that knowing about the prayer language and this praying in the spirit all came much later.
Here's one of the punches in this thing. I would sit there, and when I started out, I didn't know anything about vocal.
And it seems like we're just talking a lot about ourselves tonight. I hope it doesn't come across like that. I
just want you guys. I feel the urge to open this up to you, because I don't want you to miss anything, which you're not. I'm bringing this up because this is where the rubber meets the road when it comes down to you entering into rest of your absolute identity. This potential that we're talking about has been taught in the world system, and they call it psychic people and things like that. I had to overcome the word psychic in the sense that I used to be offended by it, because I was this church self-righteousness, and it wasn't of God, it wasn't scripture. That stuff don't bug me no more. No. But anyway, when it comes down to the prophetic, here's what I did. I found out something about the hemisphere of the brain.
You know, we don't have time to go into.
I know we don't, but I'm just going to briefly touch you with this. There's a part of us in the right side is connected 24/7 to our eternal self and spirit.
Or in the subconscious area.
Now, here's the brief synopsis of it. I found out how to sit down and do what Romans 8:26 said, travailing and groaning. So what I decided to do, but since I couldn't find the words to articulate the feelings that I had of my past and the scars,
the burdens,
the
hurts.
Yeah. So what I decided to do was go in that closet and start making sounds,
which were just simply
which
groanings.
centered me in that sound to the place inside of me that was unexplainable, hurt. And I began to talk out those sounds
without words.
Without words. And as I began to do that, I began to sense a release of rest. The blockage was removed.
Yes. And the truth of the matter is, when those blockages are removed, it's like the flow of information and stuff that you really need is already there. It's already there.
Here's a good one for you. You have been strengthened with all might according to the glorious power of waking up to your true self in patience and long suffering, and out of it comes joyfulness.
Yes. And I want to say this as well, and I know our time is wrapping up, but I've discovered that there are two modes that people seek God in. Some go by way of knowledge. They want as much knowledge as they can get to help them understand God, spirituality, all of those things. And they feel like when they understand, they are there. Then there's the other flip side of that, where people actually go through the devotional mode. And that devotional mode is kind of like what we went through. We didn't seek God. We didn't seek knowledge first.
Look at what
the lust and desire for the encounter and the connection pushed us, and so grace gave us experiences that taught us. And so the lessons that we've learned has not come from book knowledge. It has not come even from the Bible or any of those things. We get the experience first, and then we go to the Bible or other sacred texts or other books to confirm and validate or give us language to be able to express what we.
Look what John Grayson said.
Okay. John says it's a longing for help for things happening around you that you don't or didn't understand. Yes, John, it's the desire to be free from suffering.
Yeah.
Not just a relief.
Or have suffering translated.
Yeah, not just a relief from suffering, but a desire to be completely free of suffering and a desire to be at peace about your life and what happened to you in your past, what happens to you every day. It's a desire to go beyond trying to be successful, going beyond trying to be noted, whatever the word is. It's going beyond all of that. So yes, that's true, John. That's exactly
so I found out how to use baby talk.
Yeah.
I use it and I use it to talk, and I'm showing you how to do it slightly. But like you said, our time going on. It'll be a time when we can talk about these pieces of fragments.
I am planning the Zoom where you can talk to them as much as you want to about this face to face, because I know that's what you want. And so I am doing it, and I've got your email, Sadie. I'm going to make sure that you're one of the ones who gets a link for that. I will probably start promoting it next week. Okay.
And we are telling you exactly how it works.
Yes.
In the Bible, it talks about the gift of working of miracles, meaning this. You, VIA, like flying, VIA, TWA. VIA means together along with. You get your bags packed. You get everything in the luggage that you want to carry with you. and you put it in the suitcase, you put it in the car or the cab or the truck, and you go to the airport. But if you don't do your part, the other side won't be able to do it for you. So I found out what VA mean. VIA mean. I put my bags in there in the airplane. What's one that I'm gonna carry on? And listen to this. You learn how to carry your luggage in gracefulness and with honor. You learn how to say to your eternal life self of everything in your life, thank you for everything that ever happened to me in spirit, soul, and body. And you use that as an asset.
Yes. And we'll see you as well on Thursday, Vincent. We will be back again Thursday afternoon, Thursday around noon at 12:30. And Apostle Norman always gets on there with us when we're there. And we'd like for you to join us if you can. That's 12:30 on Thursday. And we will be back again on Sunday at 10 for our regular Sunday session. We thank you guys for spending some time with us today. Hope you got something out of that.
I hope you did. I believe you did. I know you did.
Yeah. And I hope it didn't just relate to church people.
Right. It's not just. It's 24/7 everyday people.
Yeah. So have a great evening. The rest of the evening, you guys, and we will see you next time.
See you then. Bye-bye.